Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. So, long day here in Mexico. This was the day where the coaching group I was in spent all day together. This morning we went out on a catamaran, which was cool, although the seas were very rough. A few of the members got pretty seasick, so it was a rough morning. Then the afternoon we spent in one of the suites doing some brainstorming, sharing some intentions for this week here in Mexico. And then tonight we went out to a really beautiful dinner at a beautiful restaurant in a beautiful resort. So, taking a breather. Couple things. If you've been used to me commenting on YouTube pretty much every day, answering most YouTube comments, my apologies. It's just been kind of crazy between going to the lake, and then now coming to Mexico. I haven't really been keeping up on the YouTube comments, so my apology. I'll try to get back on that once I get back from Mexico. It's going to be tough for me to catch up on all the missed comments. So today's topic, just an interesting concept, if you will. And maybe it'll help some of you, not sure. But the concept is this. Speak to yourself in the third person. And I know that seems really weird when you see somebody doing that. Somebody on stage speaking about themselves in the third person, like, yeah, Dan is a great guy type of thing, right? Seems just really weird. But as it relates to your recovery from this mind-body syndrome, TMS, perceived danger pain, one of the goals that we have is to kind of soothe ourselves and reassure ourselves and, kind of teach our own brains that we're actually okay. So, instead of saying, I'm okay, there's nothing wrong, it may be more impactful to say, hey Dan, listen, you're okay. Nothing dangerous is happening. You're okay, Dan, really. You are okay. There's nothing wrong with you. You've done the assessments. You understand what causes symptoms or pains. And we've done the assessments, so we know that that's exactly what's going on. So Dan, come on. You know that you're okay. It's not just intellectual book knowledge, video knowledge. You know it deeply. So come on, Dan. We're going to make a decision to choose not to respond in the same fearful way that we used to. So Dan, let's get this dialed in. Most of the recovery process is recovering from fear. Not from symptoms, not from leg pain, arm pain, head pain, back pain, pelvic pain, you name it. We're not recovering from symptoms. We're recovering from fear. So imagine, Dan, wouldn't it be nice to hear your name as you're reassuring yourself? Kind of like if somebody else was reassuring you. Because sometimes if we just go, I'm okay, your brain goes, are you really? But maybe by externalizing the reassurance and saying, Dan, you're going to be okay. You got this, Dan. You've got this. Nothing bad is going on. You're going to be able to respond calmly because by definition, we know. Come on, Dan, you know by definition TMS means that your body's okay already, that you just have an overprotective brain that's doing its best to keep you safe, but it's just overdoing it because for so long, Dan, you've been operating on fear and misinformation. So Dan, we're going to really correct that misinformation so we can dial down the fear intentionally. And the less fear we give and the less attention we give, because Dan, let's shift our attention to doing more normal things in life. Because Dan, you know that when you do normal things, your brain has no choice but to perceive that you're actually okay, that you're safe. If all you're doing all day long is thinking about your symptoms and your pain and how do I get rid of them and how do I heal them, and, kind of looping on that fear, pain, fear, symptom cycle, it's going to be really hard to turn them off. So Dan, come on. Let's start to shift our attention and our intention to living more, fixing less. So Dan, you get this. You understand it. Take it from here, intellectual, book knowledge, video knowledge. Let it sink in. Because Dan, you really know. You've done your homework. You know what this stuff is. So why be afraid of a false alarm? Right? So come on, Dan, you can do this. So, it's a good example of how to reassure yourself that you're actually okay. And Dan, by the way, don't forget, emotions are safe. So allow yourself to feel them without judgment, without ruminating on the story. Because Dan, you already know why you're upset. So you can just feel those emotions as they come up. Or at least at the next opportune time, which could be as soon as the next time you use the boys' room or girls' room. And Dan, do your best to relax your body and breathe comfortably. You know why? Because your brain's going to interpret that as, I'm safe. A tense body, your brain has no choice but to perceive that as dangerous, as danger. So Dan, relax your body so you can breathe normally. It's a great way to teach your brain you're safe. And Dan, about that thinking, you know how your fear thoughts run wild sometimes? Dan, you don't have to take those thoughts so seriously. You can literally say, I'm not going to think about that anymore. Because Dan, you know those thoughts aren't necessarily beneficial. So why keep on having them? Why keep on entertaining them as if they're factual? They're not. So do you folks see how this could potentially kind of connect to you at a different level as opposed to walking around saying, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. I'm okay already. There's nothing wrong with me. And speak to yourself in the third person, just as I did that example. And you may truly find that that kind of resonates and hits home a little bit more. Does that make sense? Comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know how you do with this. Or even in the future, comment on another video and go, oh, Dan, I tried that talking to myself in the third person and this is what I experienced. Now, it's going to seem weird at first. It definitely will. But try it. You're going to find it beneficial. So, love you guys and gals. I'm going to wrap this one up. It's late at night. And we'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody.